is Christopher Spera, and this is the iTechGear Weekly, episode number 143, WUGNET-Fest-A-Palooza, recorded live Sunday, August 17th, 2025, live from iTechGear Central. As I said, I'm Christopher Spera, the editor-in-chief here at the iTechGear.org. And for those of you that don't know, man, I'm telling you, this is probably one of the shows that I have thought about the longest, and I have had planned in my cortical there. It's been stirring around in all the mess for a little bit. We have a GC, a Johnny Carson style guest host today, because unfortunately, wow, Mr. Chris Gavula is not here to join us today. Unfortunately, but instead, we've got some of the good stuff. We have got Mr. WinInfo. We have got Mr. Windows Weekly. We have got Mr. Paul Thurrott. How are you, sir? And what's going on?
Pretty good. I was like, those are the same person. Oh, I see. Yeah, everything is going well. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm sorry it took a long time.
That's all right.
To corral me, not
out
of any
good things are worth waiting for, sir.
Yeah,
so
I'm so sorry.
That's all right. We've also got here the editor here at iTechGear.org, and of course the former contributing writer at Gear Diary and currently the host of the Linux Link Tech Show and Living in the Retro Arcade podcast, Brother Joe McLaughlin. How are you, sir?
I'm doing just ducky, and
just ducky.
It's been a weekend. That's all I got to say about that.
Hey, always good to have one. Always good to have one, and of course, thumbs up, yeah, all the way around. You betcha. And of course, last but never, ever least, the editor here at iTechGear.org, the former co-owner of WUGNET Publications, Dr. Mr. Larry McJunkin. How are you, sir?
I am fine. I'm fine. I am also very happy that Paul's with us tonight. We look forward to this podcast every single episode we record, but and we've had a ton of fun over the last 5 years. But tonight's show is very special to me because of our guest hosts, and we're looking forward to talking to Paul, reminiscing a little bit about that magical era of technology back in the late 90s and the early 2000s, and also getting his views on hopefully on some of the hot technology issues that are bogging down our news feeds these days.
And we're bogged. We're bogged. Yes.
We are bogged.
Yes.
So
we are bogged.
So Larry, do me a favor. I know it's hard to believe, but there are some folks that have probably never heard of WUGNET or even know what WUGNET stands for. What does WUGNET stand for? Just so everybody knows.
There's probably some who wish they didn't know about WUGNET too.
Hey, I'll try people out of the four here, probably.
I will try and not hijack too much time here, but there's so many things going through my head. I think about WUGNET a lot, but there's a lot of water gone under the bridge since then. And our guest host was a very big part of it all back then. WUGNET stands for the Windows Users Group Network, and it was founded by Joel Diamond. And a couple of minutes later, Howard Sobel came along, and then I joined the company in 1994, became a co-owner not long after. But in short, WUGNET morphed from that user group into what it finally found as its purpose in being, actually. When we started providing software, promotional opportunities for indie software developers, though the name indie developer hadn't even been coined yet, truly had not. And though now it's thousands of articles later, in 1998, our guest host, Paul Thurrott, was in the early years of his distinguished career writing his well-remembered by those of us who are old Supersite for Windows.
Yep.
And he also did a weekly editorial in the Windows IT Pro Update. It was in that latter publication in July of 1998. Paul, you probably don't even remember, but you wrote an article titled WUGNET Inducted into the Shareware Hall of Fame. And to this day, that honor stands out to me as one of the most meaningful things I've ever contributed to in my entire life. One of Paul's quotes from me in that article was, "We simply wanted to help provide a way to give shareware authors a way to compete in the big dollar software arena." So, I want to think we did that for a lot of little companies. We were instrumental in putting some apps like Snagit and WinZip and a lot of others into the public eye. And we continued believing in what we were doing right up until the end of WUGNet. And I don't know that WUGNet was iconic as much as we were simply in the right place at the right time, especially in that era. And
That is the
we had a lot
definition
of
of iconic, though, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
it is.
that's, I think
it
WUGNet
just
very much was
happened.
iconic. Yeah.
We had a lot of help from people like Paul publicizing what we did and some of the opportunities that were afforded to us back then with CompuServe, AOL, and of course, our largest business partner, Microsoft, which we were with them about 16 years, would never have happened in today's world, I don't think. And until the demise of CompuServe, and then they moved on into the AOL regime, we managed about 140 online forums, all about computing and different technology things. And that's back when people were paying 12, 14 bucks a minute for online time. It was ridiculous. I don't know. We were CompuServe and AOL's largest business partner with Microsoft. We co-branded the Microsoft and WUGNet Shareware Pick of the Week. And I'll always remember the many weeks I spent on Microsoft campus eating lousy food. And after we pitched them the idea for something called the Microsoft Store, and of course that Microsoft Store is long gone. It's been morphed many times, but it was fun being part of all those things. And we featured a computing tip on our website authored by our very own Christopher Spera right here on this podcast. And Chris also penned our weekly Byte articles. And that's back when Chris and I both had hair, of course. I
Yeah.
think those days are why we don't have any today.
It's a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away in the dark time before the Empire.
It
Yes.
really was. But sort of in closing, and speaking of that era, I pulled up some of WUGNet's web pages in the Wayback Machine this weekend from the 90s, late 90s and early 2000s. And the name Paul Thurrott showed up on a whole lot of them, and so did yours, Chris. But,
Yeah.
Looking at those pages, it reminded me, number one, of how I did all that stupid web work in Notepad. And instead of how we do it today, it's just so easy. And Paul was a contributing editor with WUGNet then, and also one of the reasons that WUGNet might be remembered as being iconic. His articles and writing style, I think, brought a very unique insight into the then emerging technologies. And I'm proud to have been friends with Paul all these years, actually decades. Wow. So, Chris, you must have some memorable thoughts of those old WUGNet days when we were late getting your paycheck to you and all that.
Oh man, working. Let me just say this: working with WUGNet, you, Joel, and Howard, and Paul as well, has been probably one of the highlights of my writing career. Sad, but
That is
very,
too
very
bad.
true.
No,
I
that's
know.
good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But no, a guy by the name of Dr. Mr. Larry McJunkin took a chance on a guy who had really the number of clips that I had at the time, not a lot, but he had read some of the things that I had written for CMPNet and had given me the opportunity to come on and write some tips and some software reviews. Gave me the opportunity to sort of knuckle under with a number of different shareware developers who were in the process of either in the queue or were the current shareware pick of the week winner, to help them sort of look over their applications, sort of test them out, talk to them about defects, bugs, and some of the use cases that they might be developing for it, help them tighten up their software, help them eradicate some of the bugs that they had, get rid of those, and really just make their shareware and their application all that much more worthy of a Shareware Pick of the Week award from WUGNet, powered by Microsoft at the time. So some of the things that I remember working with Paul, I know that at one point you were the development force behind some of the tip engines
Mhm.
or the major application. And I actually think for as long as we did a tip of the week, um, it was Paul's application that really kind of drove that for us.
Hmm.
I remember being on the phone with Paul, and he's like, what do you want to do? How do you want to do it? Just tell me what you want. I will throw it together for you. You tell me what color paint you want this thing, and I will go ahead and put that color in. And so he and I knuckled under for a week or two and got it together, and it worked, and it worked very, very well. It worked so well, it really did not require much tweaking after we got it set, which is one of the reasons why, Paul, I never knocked on your door afterwards and said, excuse me, Mr. Therod, if you could kindly please come back and
Right.
help me with this. And, so no, it worked very, very well. So,
Wow.
and, I was able to publish well over 3,000 different tips
Mhm.
with it over the course of the time that we actually did a tip of the week.
Nice.
So, yeah, it worked out really, really well.
Well, now I need to correct the historical record that both of you just laid out. So, first of all, Larry, because he's Larry, super gracious. The thing that it's important for me to communicate to you and for others to hear is that you and Larry and Joel, Howard and Joel at WUGNET were a huge lifeline for me. And I had been working for this small company in San Francisco Bay Area, startup, not getting paid regularly, that kind of thing.
Mm.
And when that eventually fell apart, you guys provided me with a home on the web. Like, you allowed me to continue working, and that was I don't know if you understand how big that was for me, but that was that was a big deal. And you guys were always
Wow, I guess I do now.
just super super gracious.
We were the ones honored.
No, I mean, I from my perspective, I mean, I was, you guys were always fantastic, just always. And so thank you for that belatedly.
Thank
I should have
you.
said that 30 years ago. But I'm sure, I hope we had this conversation at some point anyway. But yeah, I mean, and it was the guy, Adam, who owned that company, who I'll never forget. We were driving across the Bay Bridge in San Francisco, and he was saying, we need to do like a database backed, like everything has to be based on databases, like not just static HTML. This is really early. This is before IIS or active server pages, anything like that. And I remember standing out the window thinking, like, I need a new job. This is never going to work. Like, I'm never going to be able to do this. But yeah, I wrote this, ultimately it was ASP, but that's the thing we used for, my news articles and whatever else. And it was, yeah, it was, I was, there's another version of life where I became a developer. It was like only a developer, just, and after I went to what became Windows IT Pro, Penton, Windows NT Mag back in the day, those skills were no longer needed from my employer. So that was kind of the end of that. But yeah, I miss those times. And you mentioned, it's randomly, you said Snagit, TechSmith, the company that makes Snagit. I'm actually reviewing the latest version of this app literally right now, which is kind of funny. So all these years later, it's interesting.
It's amazing to me. They still have some of the same employees. I mean,
yeah, that's
I
great.
still talk with a couple of them.
Oh, that's funny. That's good.
Something.
Yeah, I'm still using the app myself. So
yeah,
to this day. So
with
with some of the original licenses
day
that I have upgraded over the years.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
The key still works. You just throw it in. Yeah. Yeah.
So
that was one of the better apps of that time. Still is great.
Yep. It was as necessary. I wrote books back then with, paper-based publishers, whatever, but Microsoft Word had to have that, but you had to have Snagit, and it was very specific how it had to be configured for screenshots, for books and things, It was always a key part of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, now that we're done petting each other on the back.
Oh, I'm not done.
No, you're not done.
No.
Go. Tell me how wonderful.
No, I won't.
Honestly, Paul, enough about me, but what do you think of me? Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, you're okay. No, that it was, it was just a different time. And I miss I don't know, smallness of it almost, if that makes sense. You know, the
Mhm.
That
simplicity of
does.
it.
That's a way good way to coin that.
Yeah, the world is so complicated now.
Mm.
And you know, before we started, I was saying, you know, when I started what became the Super Safe for Windows, my son had just been born. He's 27. You know, everything's different. And my kids are both out of college now. You know, the second child wasn't even a thought at that time. You know, but that's what happens, right? I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. No, I think it's very, very interesting, though. You know, with all of us, you know, here reminiscing, you've got a, magazine cover for Byte magazine there in the
Yeah.
background there. Um, it's one of the having WUGNET and
Mhm.
having all of that editorial experience in my background actually helped me get a job with Gina Smith and
Oh, nice.
Information Week
Hmm.
when Byte.com came back.
Right.
Between 2011 and 2013, I was Gina's major domo
Oh, that's great.
and was managing editor of reviews for that particular publication, and
Hmm.
eventually, you know, managing editor emeritus after things kind of settled down, and Gina got us going, and unfortunately separated from the publication, and Larry
Yeah.
Seltzer came in.
Yeah.
Uh,
Right.
you know, so not that it was unfortunate that Larry came in, but Dr. Seltzer went ahead and helped us really shape that into the powerhouse that it was for the just 2 years that it was there.
Yeah.
So, but it was a great time. Absolutely
I'm
great.
sitting here looking at Joel sitting up in his upper left Hollywood Squares box. And he's saying, "Boy, these guys are old. I don't remember any of this."
Yeah. Sorry. This is what
Yeah,
happens.
I know, it is. It is. But so I have to, we're done now. Are we?
Let's go.
Okay.
Let's
Okay.
talk about new stuff,
So,
man.
so I want to go ahead then and move it into our Apple segment. And I tell you, some of this stuff is it's interesting with what's been going on recently. You know, there's a lot that's been going on with the iPhone, and there's a lot that's been going on with some interesting new Android devices that have been coming out. But I mean, if you look at the most iconic, I'm going to speak about iconic, one of the most iconic phones that ever hit the market was, in fact, the iPhone in 2007. It completely changed the way that cell phones actually worked. It changed the way that uh, the entire world interacted with a mobile device.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, even though Apple has got such a strong hold on and Samsung with their Galaxy devices, Pixel with their Google with their Pixel devices, et cetera, have got such a strong hold on the technology today. The carriers really still have a great deal to say about what happens, what rides on the network, and how those devices actually get introduced to end users. All right. Um, I think it's very, very interesting. I mean, the iPhone was exclusively on AT&T. It was exclusively on AT&T, I think, for wasn't it a year or two?
I know that's when I bought my first one.
That's
You
when I
know,
switched to AT&T.
there you
I
go.
hated that network, but
Oh,
I had to have that phone.
Same.
absolutely. Shortly after, and one of the things that I was saying is that I know that Apple wanted to make, you know, a single device. I said they'll never, ever put a CDMA radio into the iPhone. And then, of course, that next year,
Yeah.
it came out for Verizon, and really sort of took things off. And at that point, they also opened it up to T-Mobile and to Sprint. And so, wow. Um, having all of those folks get into it in the subsidy model and the way that phones were working back in the day, it's a little bit different now. But the only difference in the way that they're actually providing phones to users and the way that users are getting phones. The whole fun, it wasn't much more. They got rid of the quote unquote subsidy where the carrier was really responsible for holding the major portion of the debt of the device. All right. And what they did now is they changed it more to a subscription, if you will. And the person owning the device is now holding the burden of the debt. Even though they're still paying, if you were paying $50 a month before, you're going to pay $50 a month now, but you're responsible for the device, not the carrier. And even though that responsibility is kind of ended, people are still getting their devices that same way. They're still going to the carrier to get the device, as opposed to going to directly to Samsung or directly to Apple or directly to Google. They're getting it all through the carrier. And if you look at, we're citing a Apple Insider article in our show notes. And if you look at the last 3 years, 2023 through 2025, including 25, you're going to see a nice big purple bar in the middle of all of that, saying that at least between 70 and 76% of all of those phones that are sold on those in those years are all sold to users through the mobile carrier.
But you know what? If you think about that, a lot of that I personally think is carrier marketing and carrier incentives and things that you can't get when you walk into that Apple store. You just can't. I mean, maybe you can get close, but
Right.
they just throw too much at the people who, I kind of think they're taking advantage of some people economically here. I think the person who can't afford to just write a check for that phone or wants it for less money, or he can be talked into switching to that carrier and get a free phone. I mean, they're doing everything. I mean, every carrier's got a new ploy.
Oh, they've got all different kinds of ways of hooking that consumer into getting that device, you know. But if you look at some of the information that the Consumer Intelligent Research Partners have are being cited as the major data provider for this particular article, you'll see that the amount of phones that are sold directly from the manufacturer, in this case specifically Apple, has shrunk over the last 3 years. Anyway, they're down 4% over the years.
So, I mean, you mentioned when the iPhone came out that they changed the world forever. Phones are different now. All smartphones are basically based on the iPhone design, et cetera, multi-touch.
Right.
100% correct. But they changed things in other ways too, right? And one of the things that Apple was able to do, and they had to go from carrier to carrier to carrier. Before AT&T was AT&T, it was Singular, remember?
Mm-hmm.
And they had been told no by all the carriers, and finally Singular said yes. But what Apple wanted was this level of control that other phone platform makers were not getting, right? Before Apple entered the smartphone market, a lot of the stuff you got from the carrier was like a carrier device, even though it was made by some other company. It was all carrier apps and carrier services, et cetera. And, Apple's thing was like, no, we're not doing that. So I wonder about this. I'm actually really surprised these numbers are what they are, and that it's gone down for Apple over the past few years. But I mean, do you guys there are exceptions here for me, but I would say for the past several years, I buy phones unlocked directly from the maker, whether it's Apple, Google, or Samsung, almost every single time personally. I don't just give them $1,000. I'm not rich either, but they often have 0% financing. You can do it over some period of time, whatever it is. And I try to pay that off early, which is a little better than just having it in your bill and it's just something that's always there. I feel like that's part of the deal for a lot of people too, that month to month, like at some point, 2 years in, maybe, or 3 years in, it's like, okay, I guess I'm getting a new phone, but your bill never really changes, right? You're still just paying forever.
I think you acclimate to that bill.
Yeah,
you do.
It becomes normal. Yeah.
You do. And yeah, I personally, I find it a lot easier. I don't like all of one of the bigger problems, especially on the Android side. You'll find that there's a lot of crapware. Right?
Yeah.
On the iPhone, you don't see it. It's one of the things that Apple absolutely positively.
Not like it used to be, though. I mean, because it used to be much worse. Back when you had the different, like Motorola running Moto Blur and other interfaces on top of stock Android. The only one you really know about anymore is One UI from Samsung, and if you get a Pixel, you got strained up pixel launcher. So I mean, it's
Mhm.
a different world, and the bloatware on Android is nowhere near where it was.
That
Used to
is
be
true.
bad.
Right.
That is true. It has decreased on the Android side
Yeah,
over
you
the
could
years,
probably
but
credit
even
Apple for that, though, right? I mean,
this is
in a
where I'm
way.
going, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. That's one of the things that they absolutely put their foot down about, was a this is the way that we're going to go ahead and deliver the device, right? And then this is how we're going to provide users with the ability to put different kinds of programs and applications on their phone,
Hmm.
right? And that's it. You can like it or lump it, but all of the
Yeah.
all of all of your carrier based bloatware and crap, nuh-uh, you know, which I think was very refreshing. I think it's one of the reasons why the iPhone was so successful.
Yeah.
Yep.
They you didn't have all of the junk,
Yep. I
that
mean,
you wished you could
Verizon
get
still
rid of.
has apps, but probably 90% of them are, you have to actually take the initiative to install them
Yes.
on Android phones now. And now a lot of the apps they used to have are gone. Like the Verizon used to have their own text messaging app, that's gone. Um, they have, they had their own cloud backup app. I think that's still there, but why would you use that? Because you don't really need to with a modern smartphone. So I mean, a lot of
Well,
that.
you might, but sometimes the other uninformed people out
Yeah.
there, oh,
People
it's
that don't know
Verizon.
any
It's got to be
better,
better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing I just don't understand about not non well, normal people, I guess I should call them.
No, that's the
Right.
term I used to. It's
Yeah,
like
we are
Yeah,
the
I mean
abnormal
mainstream
ones.
that
Trust
normal
me.
users,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
new phone, they say new phone who it is. So I'm like, wait a minute, didn't you have your contacts backed up to Google or to somewhere like
Right.
iCloud? No, really? Why not?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, well, my dad even has him that doesn't have that problem. He gets a new phone. My dad's in his 70s and he gets a new phone and no problem. He's fine. He doesn't
Yeah.
ever lose the phone number. It's like I don't understand that, but
Yeah. One of the other things that is very, very interesting, speaking of software being developed, more by the hardware manufacturer, as opposed to, say, just the uh, carrier-based stuff, or even the hardware itself. Apple appears to be working with Google on a Siri AI model. Paul, what do you know about this?
Yeah. I go back and forth on whether Apple is totally screwed on AI, but I think
It's a very good question.
Apple, a part of Apple's success, and the iPhone is a great, the way they handled carriers with the iPhone is a great example of this. What is, they partner when they have to, but really they want to do everything themselves, right? And
Mhm.
so
right.
you see this over time. You see when they moved, the first iPhone chips were made by Samsung. Eventually they moved to their own chips. They're working actively to get Qualcomm out of the situation with modem chips and so forth. And going into AI, obviously, from Apple's perspective, big, one of the richest companies on earth at the time, probably the richest, we can do this. And they couldn't. So,
Hmm.
they're having to do things a little differently for them. And it's interesting. I mean, obviously they partnered with OpenAI last year, so you could kind of do that handoff on the iPhone for
Mhm.
the first rev of Apple Intelligence. And then, since then there have been a couple of rumors, working with Gemini just on general Apple Intelligence stuff, and then more recently, it's not clear like what the AI models for this new conversational Siri, whether they're going to be in house or from a third party, which could be Anthropic, Gemini, OpenAI. We'll see. And my understanding is that they wanted to go with. This is mostly through Mark Gurman, I should say, right at Bloomberg Insider,
Yeah.
with really good Apple sources.
Yeah.
Um, they wanted to go with Anthropic, but Anthropic, I mean, maybe to their credit, I'm not sure, just demanded too much money.
Hmm.
And Apple likes to get money. They don't like to, to give
Give
out money.
money. True.
Google pays them 20 plus billion a year now for search.
Hmm.
They want that kind of partnership, right? Where it's the value is the broadness of the ecosystem or the audience for the iPhone, and we'll put you in front of a billion plus people, whatever.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean the current rumor, or one of the rumors, is that they're now doing a bake off. They're talking to Google, who is working on a version of Gemini that will run on Apple's data centers, that private compute cloud that they have,
Mm-hmm.
and specifically for Siri. And we'll see. But remember they announced this 15 months ago.
They
That's
did.
that's
You know,
what's
their failure in AI initially,
Yeah.
I think, was the biggest pill they ever had to swallow in their life when they had to admit,
Yep.
we're behind the curve.
This was
are.
the Longhorn moment for them. Remember,
Oh.
with Longhorn, Jim Elchin had to
Yep.
go, Bill Gates, to say, it's not going to work. We have to start over.
Oh.
And I think I don't know if it was, Craig Federighi or whoever that person was, but at some point someone said, this is not going to work. Like, we're going to have to start over.
No,
Right.
as I recall, we had originally talked about that moment where somebody over at Apple said, "Stop, this is not working," and where that initial reorg first took place. I believe we had cited an article, and I thought it was from Apple Insider, that said that
Mhm.
basically it was Federighi that marching into Tim's office and just saying, "This is not going to work."
Yep.
And it's coming to me. All
Yeah.
right. We're done.
Right.
All right. So,
There's
I
there's
think
there's
that's
kind of a
I
there's a
could
side
be.
story here too. I mean, Apple, Google, Microsoft, actually too, OpenAI have all been, and Meta have all been involved in this kind of poaching of employees,
Oh,
giving lots of money to AI experts, et cetera. Apple, I don't. This may not be 100% correct, but I want to say they lost 4 key executives in the past month
yeah.
to other
About
companies
right.
that are just offering them, like, look, we're going to fund your retirement. Just come here.
Oh, it's crazy,
Uh,
stupid money,
Yeah, like stupid, like really stupid money. So that's a problem. I mean, there were fights between Apple and Google and whoever else. I mean, 20 years ago about poaching employees, and that was
Mhm.
just low stakes compared to this. Is nothing. Like, we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars
Yep.
per employee in some cases.
Yeah.
This is big stakes. So they're losing talent too. I mean, that's really interesting. You don't hear about that a lot.
Well,
You
I
know,
think,
when we go back, we've actually gone back in our podcast. I mean, when AI first started, and it's not that we're soothsayers or smart about this, because nobody knew back then where this was going. But we said on this show what a hard time Apple was going to have, did we not?
yes, we
Yeah.
did.
Every one of us are shaking our head,
Yeah.
and it just came out of the box, and we said Apple's going to lose, and
They're
sure
going to
enough,
lose, and it's sad. All right.
it
If you
is.
really think about it, it's sad
I'm the
because,
biggest Mac head of all of us, and
well, that is true.
Is it
Right.
The
Still.
Windows guy, the
I
Windows
mean,
guy,
McJunkin,
the Windows guy in the group
Yeah.
really is the biggest Mac head that we've got. So
right?
go figure. But
But consider
things
that.
change.
Well,
Yeah.
consider Apple was starting at a disadvantage already, because let's just face it, Siri sucks.
Yeah.
well,
I
It
mean,
always did.
that's it.
I mean, it never
Yeah.
was fixed ever.
Siri
No.
Siri sucks largely because they're not scraping data or allowing your data, your
Yes.
inputs to be scraped
Right.
anywhere else, right?
Apple
Or
tried to do it right, but in doing so, it ended up wrong.
they ended
Yeah.
up behind the 8 ball, right?
Right.
And
Well,
it's sad. It's sad if you really want to get down to brass tacks. It's really sad that they went ahead and got screwed over by doing the right thing. But that's really the way that it seems. They're protecting our privacy.
Apple has such a good reputation with its fans and users, though, that I feel like, look, what happens in your iPhone stays in your iPhone. I get it. But
Mhm.
I feel like they could just have a checkbox or something that says, look, you have to share some information with us for this to work. It's
Right.
us. We're not selling this. We're not doing anything with it, but we're going to process it up on our servers. We're going to protect your privacy as much as we can.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like 90 something percent of their users will be like, yep,
Check the box.
instantaneously.
problem.
Like, I don't understand their weirdness.
Just like
on this
checking the
topic.
EULA box, they're
Yeah.
going to check.
Well,
it.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I've
Yep.
read. Of course, you've read. No, you haven't.
I
Nobody
don't think
reads
anyone. I
those
don't think
things.
Apple's read it. And no one's read it.
I remember back in the day, reading a article, and I forget which big box publication was, either PC World, PC Week, Byte, or something like that. That where somebody had put in their EULA that if you call this phone number, if you've gotten this far and you call this phone number, we're going to give you $1,000. All right. And one guy,
Yep.
one and only one guy called in and
That's beautiful.
got the money, and they had set aside, some pool, just in case, but no, one guy. So it's interesting. Nobody
even something like OpenAI ChatGPT on an iPhone right now, right? So you have to go in and find it. You have to go turn it on. You have to agree to it. You don't have to sign into the account. You don't have to pay them if you don't want to, whatever. I wonder what the percentage of people is that do that. It's probably pretty good. Right. I do it too. But I mean, right. Why wouldn't you? Because, well, you've used Siri. So you're like, no, I need something better than this.
I need something that works.
Yeah. I've never had software like Siri where every single time it comes on, it's not what I want. Every time.
Yep.
At best, it used to be, let me see what I can find on the internet about that.
Yeah.
Right.
Or it's just, I don't even ask for it. I say something like, I say the word seriously a lot, seriously. And it's like, beep. Oh, it's what do you need, Paul? It's like, shut up. It's like, you don't have to be mean about it.
And the thing is, it wasn't, I mean,
can make a comedy show
anymore, Paul. Why?
Yeah.
Some said it always sucked. I actually think it got worse. I mean, it used to be. I mean, because when I first got my first iPhone, because I actually been an Android guy since the G1. But when I got my first iPhone, which I chose because I hated Samsung phones, and I still do for the most part. So when it came time to get a phone specifically for work, I chose the iPhone begrudgingly. And this is back in the day when we all had our own personal phone bridges. I would say, hey, Siri, call my phone bridge, and it would work every single time. All right. Wow. And like a year later, that wasn't the case. To the next OS.
They really dropped the ball in this thing.
I mean, it was really good at the very beginning, but now it's like they've done nothing with it. I mean,
and you know what? I don't know how they're going to catch up with the likes of the latest version of ChatGPT-5, the Pro version. I have
or even
that.
Gemini,
I am paid
for that matter.
It, but and it's amazing. I mean, now I'm actually using this for true work cases, having it do things where all the pro bono stuff I did for some orgs. And guys, I got to tell you, this is amazing. You can have a conversation with it like you and I are having. And I mean, I've asked it to build some graphics for me. It spits them out. I mean, it would take me 2 hours in Photoshop and does it in 14 seconds. And then it says, oh, would you like an SVG version of that? Would you like me to change this? And then when I say, no, you sure? Yeah.
But does it have that kind of Siri purple, pink, sparkly effect? Because, I mean, I think that's what really sells it.
Oh, no, it doesn't.
Fairy dust has been left at the door, Paul. Come on.
No.
So
it's here to stay, and we need to all accept that.
Interestingly enough, I remember, and Larry and Joel may remember this. I had mentioned a while back, probably before, was probably coming up on about a year, the release of iOS 18.6.2. I had just put that on my phone. I went out to the car and I had gotten an idiot light. A tire air pressure, or a blinking tire pressure air light, right? And I had said to Siri initially, what does a blinking tire pressure air light mean? And it couldn't answer the question. I said, all right, Siri, what does a blinking tire pressure air light on a 2014 Toyota Highlander mean? And it got the answer exactly right.
Interesting. So it's like an Infocom game. You have to get it exactly right the way you phrase it to get the right answer.
You have to drop drop the empty cigarette pack first before you can pick up the other thing, if you remember Zork and so on. So yeah. Absolutely. But it was interesting. Now when I ask that same question, and I have since, I basically get, would you like me to go to ChatGPT for that?
Yeah, exactly. My sister over here is a lot smarter than I am. Maybe she can know the answer to this question.
Speaking of things you don't want to drop.
Yeah.
These new cases?
Oh, yeah. The new tech woven cases. Oh, Oh, Larry. Oh, what a case.
Ugly, man.
You think the new ones are ugly, or you talk about just fine the normal
No,
fine
the
woven?
new the 17 tech woven that took over the fine woven. Have
Yep.
you seen a picture yet?
Yeah. So when did these come out originally? The fine woven, like
The
2 years
fine
ago.
wovens were, I think, over a year
2 or 3 years,
So
maybe.
whatever year that
Right.
was, I had ordered the new iPhone and a one of these cases, and between that and it arriving, I read a story that had a picture of this thing all scratched up, and I was like, cancel, and
Right.
because I had always gotten like the leather case, from
Right.
Apple or whatever, and
Well,
I liked those.
worn
And,
leather, worn leather,
oh, it's nice.
it patinas, right?
Exactly. Right.
All
No,
right.
this is just a scar. you know,
Right.
it's not the same thing. It was terrible.
No,
It was a
but
terrible case.
we tend to truly shy away from rumor mills on this show. But when you're this close to the iPhone launch,
Mhm.
I got to believe it. It's I think it follows Apple's propensity toward being 100% carbon free.
Yeah.
And personally, I would not have this case because in the pictures that Marcus Mendez over at 9 to 5 Mac posted, it appears to have a very, very rough denim look to it. And to me, that's a
Yeah.
dirt catcher all the way.
Yep.
And
It
I don't
also,
know.
one of them has a scuff on it. These things are brand
In
new.
the picture it
It's
does.
like, I
Yeah.
don't, oh boy.
I'm just going to pass on this one, but I don't know if you guys are going to get one. Let me know how it
No,
works
no, I would
out.
never. I'm never going down that path again.
Yeah.
No.
No,
way.
and yes, it is interesting that the brand new black one, right in the middle,
Hmm.
on the bottom left corner that they're showing on this particular picture, has a nice little,
Yeah, like a scar or whatever.
uh-huh.
I'll
I.
tell this story very quick because Paul, you haven't heard it, but
Mhm.
these guys have. Quite a few years ago, and I was asking one of the Apple retail store employees, it's probably been 10 years ago, maybe. I said, is the Apple silicone case really that good? Is it really that protective? It looks kind of skinny to me, but it feels great.
Yep.
So he takes his phone out of his pocket and he threw it on the floor, all hard as he could throw it to the back of the store.
Wow.
Bounced off the wall. He went and picked it up. He said, works pretty good to me, I think. I bought one and I haven't looked back.
Nice.
I've been
Three
using them ever
cushions, the ball
since.
went right in the hole.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was
Yeah.
perfect.
And I
Like
love
the
that
the Larry
case.
Bird commercial, like off the backboard, across the screen,
Yep.
or whatever. With the
That was
McDonald's
good
thing.
advertising.
Mhm.
Absolutely. No, but these, I just don't
Yeah, I mean that's what I've been using as the silicon case, but
I don't understand. I'm more of either a hard plastic or a leather guy. All right.
I do miss. I don't want to be insensitive, but it's not like we're taking leather from a cow and throwing out the meat, right? Like, are
No.
we?
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
No.
Like
Right.
we're. This
It's a
is
good
like
point.
We're eating the
if the
meat.
if the
All right.
point is using the whole animal, which I think it is, like that to me seems like a reasonable. It's like we're going to be eating it anyway.
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I know this is.
Have you been to the slaughterhouse or to the steer place in Fort Worth? Have you been
No,
to
I
the
mean,
slaughter?
you
I
can
mean,
see it
you
from
should see what
space,
they
right?
make
I mean,
canes out of. I mean, oh my
yeah,
goodness.
yeah.
All
Oh,
right.
I have been there. My daughter was for
You know,
30 years HR for Purdue, and before
Yeah.
that it was IBP, which was beef.
Mhm.
I mean, you should see what they're
Yeah.
making coffee mugs out of.
Oh,
Oh my
jeez.
goodness.
Yeah, nobody's defending like factory farming. I'm just saying if
saying.
we have an animal, we're going to eat it.
We're gonna
I
use
don't know,
all of it.
maybe we could use
And they
the,
do.
yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So
I miss leather. But
yeah,
I do too.
I do too. I totally don't understand why they're carbon neutral. Okay, sure, fine, but
I
these are
get
just
it,
downright
but
ugly. But
yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
all right. Anyway, that's just me. So I'm going to go ahead and on a happy note, I'm going to move us to our mobile Linux segment, and the Google has recently had a nice, lovely little event where they introduced some brand new devices. Joel, tell us about the Google Pixel 10 event and make it a happier time, could you please?
Sorry, I yawned a little bit.
You said Pixel and I yawned. I don't know what happened.
Well, no, I mean, granted, look, I got a Pixel 9 Pro XL. I love my Pixel phone, right? And I'd love to get the 10 Pro XL, but to me, it's not big enough of an update for me to bother to jump to the upgrade. And I would recommend that for anybody who's still on the 9 series.
This is a tough year-over-year upgrade.
It is. It is. I mean, and the phone, the design didn't really change on really any of them, except for maybe the Fold has a little bit better screen. I think it's the first one that has some dust resistance on the main internal screen, I think. So, but it's got some nice updates with it. You got the Tensor Core G5 chip, which is the first chip that Google hasn't had Samsung made. It was made by TSMC. In probably, I would hazard to guess it's probably the same factory that Apple uses for some of the foundry they use for their chips. So, because Apple doesn't have that exclusive thing anymore.
Mhm.
So, but so and if you have anything older like a Pixel 6 or a Pixel 8, it's definitely a worthwhile upgrade. And it's by far, if you want straight Android, that's the phone to get. It still is the phone to get. It always will be the phone to get, unless Samsung.
I would
Well, if you
agree
want
with that.
if you want vanilla Android, yes.
Right.
Right. I think you're
It's
always
as
gonna have
close.
that.
It's not generic Android, but it's as close as you will get to generic Android.
But
Because
generic Android doesn't necessarily have Google services built in. So
no.
So-
So I mean, but they added Qi 2 charging, so finally MagSafe finally comes to Pixel by default. So, I mean, I bought a case with the magnet in it,
Right.
so I
Yeah.
mean, now I don't have to do that anymore. Well, actually, I would recommend you still do that, just because through any case, it's usually crap. But
having a
so
MagSafe device without a magnetic based case can be problematic when you stick the
Even an
especially if you're in a
Apple.
car, especially if you're
Yeah.
in a car and you stick the thing on a MagSafe charger, all right,
Mhm.
and you hit a speed bump,
Yep.
a
And it lands
It's
in your
gone.
lap.
pebble
Yeah.
or a stick or something, on a fairly smooth road, it's going to fall off. It's going to hit that bump. It's going to shoot up in the air. It's going to hit the ceiling and then fall to the floor.
And
No.
Google calls their Qi 2 chargers Pixel Snap. Whatever.
As opposed to MagSafe, which is fine.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
fine.
it's all the same
well,
thing.
they
Everybody
can't-
knows
they
it's a
can't-
MagSafe case or a MagSafe.
Right.
You know,
They can't really call it MagSafe, 'cause
no, it's an Apple
Apple
term. but-
copyright. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
They had a lot of fun with Apple on their event too, didn't they?
Yeah.
yeah.
they tried.
Boy.
And by the way,
now,
a good
they-
message too, right? About just, phones are about connecting people, not
Yes.
keeping them separated, right? Which is like, yeah, there you go. I thought that was nice.
That's true. Does anybody have anything that they would like to add about the host and the sort of preamble before all the device information came out?
You know what? If you
Yeah,
watched it for
you know
Jimmy
I have to say
Fallon,
something.
if you watched it for Jimmy Fallon, you watched it for the wrong reasons. I mean, come on.
Well,
You know,
I'm telling you, that was so canned. It was just,
It
it was
was
just
cringy.
horrible.
yeah. So I mean, but now the one thing we forgot to mention, they released an update to the Pixel Watch. Whoop-de-doo.
Right.
I mean, I have
It was
the
like,
first.
it would be nice if we had a clip of that. Oh, I think we have a clip of that, Mr. Rogers. Here it
That's
is.
right.
It was, oh God.
Right, but it's I liked my Pixel Watch, but my main problem is still the same problem even with the new Pixel Watch is battery life.
Yep.
I've got a Garmin Fenix 7X Sapphire Solar on my wrist. I am an avid hiker. This is not going to come off my wrist in favor of any of the other smartwatches until they get close to battery life. See, I'm sitting here at 52% battery life, and according to Garmin, I have 11 days of battery life left.
Yeah. That's
You know
I
what
can
was
go
really-
all week.
What was really funny was if you have watched Jimmy Fallon, you know that Jimmy uses an iPhone, always has used an iPhone.
Mhm.
All of a sudden, he's wearing a Pixel Watch, carrying a Pixel phone. It's kind of like, I'm an iPhone guy, but
For
Google
2
paid me
hours,
$2
and then
million
you-
to switch.
right.
Right.
Oh, come
Yeah.
on.
All right, show of
Anyway.
hands. Show of hands on how quickly they're not going to allow anybody to tweet something at all. from any device, simply because wasn't it
Oh, this happens all the time.
yeah, where somebody says, "Hey, I'm really digging, my new blah blah
Sent
blah
from
device sent
iPhone.
from iPhone."
You know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh-huh. So I was waiting for that one to happen, but we haven't seen it yet. But though personally, I'm an avid wearable kind of guy. I have
Yeah.
Fruit Watch on
I am
one,
too.
and Galaxy.
I do that sometimes at the gym,
You're
and
that
people
guy.
Well,
like
I see.
some of my
See,
friends will be like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing, man?
well, you're
He's that
trying
guy.
to
He's that
compare.
guy.
No. See, I want to know. I mean, I've got a Fruit Watch. I've got a Starry styled universe based watch. I've got a fully illegal China's gonna spy on us watch.
Love it.
Okay.
Yep.
Right.
As well as a couple of others, including an original Pixel watch. And I think you wear more than one. Why? Because you want to make certain that am I getting an accurate count of calories, steps,
Boy,
effort,
that's
and et cetera, et cetera. And I'm trying to come up with a way of showing, what kind of, who's
like
most
some are
accurate?
better at some things than others, or
And
whatever. Yeah.
and who's got the best? All right.
Yeah.
Which ones are you looking at? To be very, very honest, I'm looking at the latest Pixel Watch, and I think they've got a 41 millimeter this year, and they've got a 45 millimeter this year, and I think they're finally.
I like big
enough.
watches. I cannot lie, and none of
Yeah.
those are this
Well,
big.
I think that they're finally quote unquote big enough that the bands that the straps that they have made don't look like the watch is too small for the band. All right. I think this year finally with the 41 and the 45, they finally look as though those watches and the bands go together correctly.
It's just Wear OS, right? You could get a Samsung, whatever it's called, Galaxy Watch 6 or whatever they're on now. I mean, they have an LT version.
Watch,
Eight.
actually.
Eight.
Sorry. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah.
Great
looking
watch.
I mean, I also have a Pixel Watch 3, right? But
yeah,
I don't think I'm gonna. I don't think I'll be upgrading to this one, but because year over year, I think these are a little tough.
But so I've got a Pixel Watch 1, but even $449 for the LTE version, is a little bit steep.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
I'm actually more excited about the firmware updates for the Pixel Buds too.
Yeah.
Those because I just recently bought them. I absolutely love them. They are the Google equivalent to these things.
Yes.
AirPods too. So I mean, if you want the best Bluetooth headphones for your Pixel, go with those ones.
Pixel
The
Buds are
2As came out.
Yeah.
The 2 Pros are still fantastic as far as I'm concerned, and I love them. The only headphones I like a little bit better is I do have some Shocks Open Run 2s that I use when I'm hiking because I like to actually hear what's going around me.
Right.
Call me crazy.
Well, you are crazy, but that's beside the point.
Yeah.
And I know
that
that
has
one of the
nothing
things
to do with this conversation.
you're not that crazy though, because one of the things that you don't do is run a beta on your particular
Any
Android device of choice.
Unlike the rest of us.
I was going to
Unlike
say,
the rest
I
of us
think
who
I'm
are,
only running
young and
26
stupid
everywhere.
when it comes to that. But
if I didn't,
there was a new version of Android that came 16 that came out, the QPR2 Beta 1.
It just rolls right off the lips,
It does. It does.
It does,
So
doesn't it?
Joel, it happened right after the Pixel event. So what's going on with this new update 2 for the 16 beta?
It focuses on improvements like enhanced user experiences, new APIs for media and productivity apps, platform features to help developers debug and test their apps. Yay.
Oh man. Google's
Makes me wanna
developer
write-
docs are
go
always
out
so
and get it.
terrible. Yeah, they don't do a good job of selling this. So the new Pixel phones come with QPR1, right? So whenever that, I think they're coming in this week, right?
Right.
So this is the next quarterly release.
Yes, the quarterly update. So and it is the first beta for that quarterly update.
Yeah, so expanded dark theme and auto themed app icons.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the TSR-80,
I'm-
but now with
running
intent
out
control.
of
It's just,
things.
it's like when Apple says, "Hey, this iOS has all these new emojis," and I'm like, "What the
Mhm.
freaking do?" I'm like,
Yeah. Yep.
so that's kind of where I'm at with that. I'll course load QPR2 when it's released, but
Oh, see,
so
I've been doing these betas all year on Pixel and actually on One UI as well, but Pixel and Apple across the board, right? So
Right.
there's been
Right.
so many. There's a day where it's like, oh, they updated whatever it is, iOS 26 beta, whatever, and I'm like, okay. It's like I have an iPhone, an iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, Mac.
Yeah.
It's like I'm going to spend this is my day, you know. And then the
Yeah.
Google stuff, though, I don't know. It just seems it's so tame by comparison in a way, right? There isn't much there so
Right.
far, anyway. I don't
No.
know.
I mean, the best about the biggest thing you could say is, hey, the OS itself is much more stable than it used to be.
Yeah.
So, I
Yeah, yeah.
mean,
I will tell you that Paul, many of us, including our missing editor Chris Gavula,
Mhm.
are all about the betas. But like you,
Yeah, yeah.
new Canary build, new Dev build. I've got machines that are dedicated for on the Windows side.
Mhm.
At least one
Yeah,
for each ring.
exactly. Yep.
One for each ring, right? And then you've got your Macs and you've got your phones, etc. I had a tip a week or two ago about making certain that you don't, if you install, once you buy the prize, it could be yours to keep, So
Yep.
as an example, Watch OS, all right, you cannot
Oh,
downgrade.
you can't roll it back.
You cannot roll it back. So I have
Okay.
a Fruit Watch,
Mhm.
right? An Ultra 2 Fruit Watch that unfortunately I have to wait
right.
until the
Like the final release of whatever.
yeah, so that I can hopefully get it back.
Yep.
Otherwise, I'm going to be very, very, very sad.
So it sounds like
Right.
at least like Larry and Chris, I think you mostly iPhone or whatever. And
I run both.
you run both. Okay.
No,
run both.
I'm all iPhone.
You're all iPhone. And if you've
Technically,
been
I run both too, but my iOS device is a work device, so which means I don't.
yeah, you
run
can't screw with it.
on
Okay.
No.
So if you guys have been doing the betas, right?
Every one of them, yeah.
All right, then so you probably experienced this like the iPhone camera app. They've updated simpler, right? This little slidey thing,
Mhm.
and so by default it just shows photos and video. Those are the two buttons, and then if you want to use any of the other modes, you have to swipe over. So I think as of today, there maybe been 7 or even 8 betas. I don't remember, but somewhere around
7.
beta 5 or 6, they reversed the direction of the swipe,
They did.
and I was like, "What the?" Like literally, I'm like,
Makes no
what's the
sense.
headings on my phone? I'm like, what
You
is
could
this?
say
Like,
it on
what's
this
going on?
podcast, Paul. You could say it on this
I'm
podcast.
like, what is this? My wife's like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, they reversed the scroll on the thing. She thinks I'm mental,
Right.
And so after I think 2 betas, they put it back. Like they put it back, and I was like, thank you.
But they're really good at
what are you
trying
doing?
things like
Like,
that
yeah,
and then putting them
Right.
back.
that
But
was the biggest thing
to
I
Apple's
noticed.
credit, when their beta program started, I was on it way back when.
Yeah.
It was horrible. And you remember, Paul.
Oh,
I know
yeah.
you do.
You had a,
But nowadays,
you can get out of
even
it
the
pretty good.
very
and-
first beta is rock solid. It
yeah,
really is.
it's definitely different. Yeah, and especially this year, this is there's big changes to the UI, so it's kind of interesting
Yep.
just to look at it. But yeah, it's definitely it's a safer proposition than it used to be.
Right.
Generally, it is. Yeah, generally it is. I wish I had known that I would not be able to roll the Watch OS back on the device. I went ahead and
I'm surprised by that actually.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
because they go ahead and they've tied it to a specific iPhone. You cannot do anything with an
Yeah.
Apple Watch without an iPhone.
Without the phone. Yeah,
without the phone tethered to it. So,
Mhm.
but I figured, hey, if I roll the phone back, right?
Oh, well,
I roll the phone back and I restore
I don't think.
the backup that had
Yeah.
to pair with this particular watch, that it would be able to. No,
No, they're
no.
completely separate.
no.
I wasn't aware of this with the watch. I'm afraid to even look at it. But yeah, I'm not going to screw that. But
Right.
but yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
We're only a
So
couple of weeks away, right? I mean, this stuff's coming up pretty quick.
hopefully,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
coming up soon.
So yeah, and interestingly enough, speaking of soon, there was an announcement made by a specific chip maker here in the U.S. a
Yes.
few weeks ago, and it made I heard most of the tech world cringe all at
Yep.
the same time.
In many ways. In many ways.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I understand why this administration, did this, but
You do?
but
Okay.
from a invest in
From
you
a
in the USA
financial
perspective, yes, I do.
standpoint, right.
All right.
Yeah.
From a invest in the US, but Intel announced taking the United States government has taken a stake in the company. And Paul, you
Yeah.
wrote an article, very informative article over on your site, and help me.
Yeah,
Well,
talk to us about that one.
Yeah, I struggled with this one because I hate our government, and I'm kind of freaked out by what's happening in the world right now. But
No matter who's in office, I hate my government anyway.
yeah, there you go. So
That's it.
Yeah, it's so look, Intel's been struggling. Intel resisted pursuing certain strategies that should have gone down, many years ago for a long time. Mobile, especially, thin and light,
Say
whatever.
the A word. Say the A word. ARM.
ARM type design, maybe literally ARM. Yeah. So,
Considering they pretty much abandoned it.
yeah, they had a ARM license for many, many years and could have, they had X scale, whatever. But so, yeah, they've been struggling. And so I review a couple of dozen laptops every year still. And, there's been a big shift with this stuff that the AMD stuff is just dramatically better. And then the ARM stuff is in many ways better
Really
still.
better.
But
Yeah.
especially from a kind of a reliability, stability, kind of perspective, whatever, efficiency,
Right.
obviously. But yeah, so the previous Intel CEO, Pat Gelsinger, was one of the people that got the Biden administration previously to, get going on the CHIPS Act. And so through some combination of basically handouts and also loans, I think Intel was on the line for, I want to say it was 11 point something billion dollars that they were going to receive from the government to help it, build out its infrastructure so it could hopefully compete with TSMC or whatever. And they had new and or upgraded facilities, Arizona, Ohio, and Germany, and elsewhere in the world. But in the United States,
Ohio's probably not going to open now. So
that thing is a giant empty field with rebar sticking out of the ground, and it will probably always look like that, and it will be a good place to film like a post-apocalyptic movie someday. But it is, I don't know
Fly
what's
your drone or something.
Yeah,
in my hometown.
yeah. So I appreciate that Pat Gelsinger sort of was betting the farm or whatever on this foundry business. I do think that's the future of Intel, if that makes any sense. If it could just figure it out, get it there. But they don't have customers, and they're not getting it there, so they're struggling. And we switched administrations, so they've only received about 2.2 billion of the money they were owed, so to speak, or granted or promised. Yeah. And now this investment from the current administration is replacing a big chunk of what was going to be the money they were already going to get, actually. So now the U.S. government, and I guess by extension, U.S. taxpayers, are shareholders in Intel.
Yeah.
I have my worries about this company, financially and what's going to happen with them, but we'll see, I guess.
If you go back on our Wayback Machine on this one, Chris, think about it. 4 years ago, we said Intel is going to bite the bullet. Exactly what we said.
Yeah, if they don't jump on the ARM train and jump on it, then
they've missed so many
trains.
Waves, so to speak. They lucked out a couple of times. They owned that company from Israel that gave them the core architecture. That bought them a decade easily. They were forced to accept the x64 architecture that AMD came up with because Microsoft has said, "Look, we're doing this, so you can not do it if you want, but we're doing this." So they had to do it.
Right.
And look, they've tried. You can see in their newest chips. Well, you can see lots of things, but they have the different types of cores. AMD has a different approach. AMD is kind of interesting because their cores in their PC chips are kind of multifunctional. They can scale up and down to the needs of whatever the workload is at the time. And Intel has specific types of cores, so it's a different kind of an
Right.
architecture, but I'm not. I mean, I'm not a hardware expert, but
I think the thing that's got us the most worried about this particular deal. I mean, it's a bailout, all right. And if you
Yep.
look at
Oh, yeah.
what the U.S. has done in
the government term, by the way, is intervention.
intervention. Thank you.
Right. They're
It's an
too big to
intervention.
fail.
It's like you went
So
into the meeting thinking it was a party for someone's birthday, and they're like, "No, Intel, you got to sit down. We're having an intervention." You know.
Right.
So, but the thing that it's too big to fail. All right. So
Right.
so the last time that was
Yeah.
used,
Yep.
2008ish or
That's
so,
right.
what was with
Yep.
an industry that you knew had a plan, a documented
Right.
way of coming
The
back.
auto industry,
All right.
yes.
A documented way
Maybe.
of coming back, a way of
No, which? Oh, sorry, are you referring to banking or cars? So,
Right.
both
Both.
actually. I mean,
Yeah.
they one of the things
More
that
cars, I think.
you
Yeah.
know, there was a way for them to come back. All right.
Right.
All right. I don't, given where Intel is, and based on the information that you just kind of gave us and
Mhm.
all that wonderful, oh my God, they've missed the train now 4 times or so.
Yeah. A lot.
How are they going to? I don't know how they're going to come back from this, because they
Yeah, I
don't
don't
have.
either.
They've been trying for decades to get the engineering,
Yep.
chutzpah together to get him down from the 5 nanometers to 3 to 2. You know,
I mean,
where the
Intel
next,
still makes 10 and 14 nanometer chips, right?
Yeah.
Today, literally, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Right.
yeah, I know a lot of people that work at PC makers and at the chip makers too, and very consistently, what I've heard is they've been paying PC makers for a long time to use their chips and not use other chips, right?
Mhm.
And that's worked
Right.
out really well for them. And look, they were competitive too for a long time. I mean, this is
Long time. Mhm.
long time. But now that they're in dire straits, so to speak, they're not really doing that as much as they used to. And
Right.
when Qualcomm entered the PC market, one of the things they learned pretty quickly was like, we're going to have to start paying these companies more. That's
Mhm.
part of it. Like we have to give them
Mhm.
incentives, right, to use our chips. And I don't think there's a version of this where Intel emerges on the other side as a much smaller company. I think it has to be. The question is going to be whether it's both a foundry and a X60, X86,
Right.
whatever you want to call it, the chip design firm or whatever.
See,
Um,
I don't think so.
yeah, I don't
They
know.
are.
You're
I
right.
don't know.
I don't think that
personally,
they are. I think they're going to end up being, the ancillary chips that they've got, right?
Yep.
They're not going to be a computer microprocessor foundry.
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
Yep.
I'm a little like Paul. I worry that the government, the government and extended me, the taxpayer, I'm
Yeah.
funding the
Mhm.
retirement of a whole bunch of executives eventually.
Yeah,
at
all made
Intel.
really
It's
bad
going to
decisions.
fall, and they're
Yep.
going to leave with all the gold.
Yeah. I do feel like if Intel does have a future, it's going to be if the foundry is successful. There's been not a single indication that they've ever hit a milestone or did something right, or are on the path to the right thing. Like they don't have customers, they're not getting the wafer yields, et cetera, et cetera. So the other part of that company is very small, but I think at some point they're going to have to say, look, we're going to have to spin this thing off. They've been doing this for, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years, where they're treating the Intel Foundry as a separate business anyway from a financial perspective. So it's already kind of off to the side. And
Is it near the back of the barn? Is it sitting near the back?
It's actually in the back of the property. It's possibly encroaching on the
only
neighbors'
because that's where
yard.
you take things to shoot them. You take them back
Yeah.
behind the barn.
The old
Right.
yeller, it, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I look, there is some market for less efficient, less modern chips or whatever. There is some market for a chip maker that maybe doesn't get the same yields at whatever nanometer manufacturing processes like TSMC or Samsung or whatever, where you're a secondary, maybe a tertiary supplier. But that's not like a leader of some kind. It's not the dominant player. It's
not.
I don't see how this ends well. I'm really worried about this across the board.
There's multiple reasons too, because
Yeah.
it's like,
Good,
okay,
Joel.
what does that 10% ownership give them? What kind of control does the government now have over the chips that are going in PCs?
Yeah. So
Could be a potential of a
Yeah.
Back door.
Supposedly, yeah. So, right, yeah. So, right. Financially, supposedly, or from a maybe management or decision making capability, supposedly not really any stake. They're not, they don't have uh, a person on the board or anything like that.
Right.
But there's also language in there where it's like, for the most part, or with some exceptions or something. So, yeah, that's a good question. I don't look, if this was a Chinese company and it was the Chinese government propping up, Huawei's chip business or whatever it might be, which is they absolutely do, we would be outraged by this, or so, some people would be, right?
Absolutely.
And the US and thing I've always said about that, whatever China and Chinese companies, whatever, is we kind of do the same thing, right? I mean, like I guess it's okay when we do it. But this is like, yeah, state-sponsored big tech company. I don't know. This is a little weird to me.
But like Chris Spera said, back when they did this for the auto industry, there was a plan, and the government knew they were going to get their money back, which they did.
Yeah.
Every penny.
And I don't know
that certainty does not exist with Intel.
No, and that's
why did we even inject
deal.
the money? Is what I'd like to know.
See, that's why I think this was a bad deal. And
well,
is there an answer for that?
I could make one case, and this is not with a lot of background knowledge, but there's the thing with Intel is, and this would not be true of, say, a car company, but it might be true of maybe banking. There is a national security element to it. And if you look at, they're referring to this as they describe it as an investment. And so that suggests you will have some chance to earn this money back or even make money, and Intel goes gangbusters someday. And the United States is somehow collecting revenue here, or whatever form that is. That's bizarre, but okay. But you could also make the case that in the context of spending on, I don't know, military or CIA, NSA, whatever type organizations, that what's the amount, $8.9 billion is, they spend that much on 3 toilet seats for, stealth bombers. So it's not that much money in that context. I mean, if there really is a national security element to it, I think there might be. You don't want to be completely reliant on companies that are making chips because they're in China mostly, or in Taiwan, which China could just step on tomorrow. And then we lose our access to production of the things that the military might need, or the government, or whatever. True. It's not just business.
Good point.
True. I mean, that's just a general thing. I don't know a lot about this, but that might, if you look at it like that, not like, hey, look, we're going to get this $9 billion back. It's like, yeah, just don't worry about it. We're never getting the money back. That's not really the point. The point is this thing has to keep going because national security.
Agreed there on both of those points. And I would like to point out that the $8.99 billion that the government is, quote unquote, investing into Intel is really, like you had said earlier, Paul, is really the money, the rest of the money that they were originally promised anyway.
Yep.
All right.
Our current administration can't stand anything the previous administration did, and everything's personal.
Yeah.
And it has to be restructured because, we just can't let this stand, even though legally if Intel was healthy enough, they wouldn't need the money, but they could take the government to court and say, no, you're legally required to give us this. You can't just back out of it because you don't like the previous guy. But that's not the health of the company. So they don't really have that,
they didn't have that leverage. They didn't have that leverage. So yeah. But I guess my point was, there's no new money involved. This is all the old money that was originally promised. Blah, blah, blah,
still our money.
Mostly,
it's still our money.
Mostly, it's still our money. Yes.
It's still ours. But I'm just saying.
I mean, look, I think you guys and I do. I look at this more from like the industry perspective. Like Intel has this rich history, and whatever. There's been ups and downs and stuff. I don't want to see Intel fail. I don't mean like that, but I mean,
no.
Nobody does, especially now.
But I do hate what's happened to it. I wish this was different. Just from a computer industry perspective or whatever.
It bothers me that somebody's pride got in the way of making the right decisions, and that's the only thing that, at least, that I can come up with in my brain, that says, why didn't this happen before? And
it's honestly, if you think about Microsoft as being maybe the software equivalent of Intel, like they they were able to move past that one thing that always worked that stopped working, right? Which was Windows in Microsoft's case, right?
Yeah.
That they had these other businesses and then went gangbusters on cloud. Now they're doing AI, et cetera. They found a new path forward, and Intel just never did. And that might be more typical, if that makes sense.
And that's a very good point. That's a very
it's hard. It's hard to switch gears. What's that phrase? Like, you do the same thing over and over again, and you expect different results. That's insanity.
Yes. The definition of insanity. Is...
So there's a corollary to that. That's sort of like, I do the same thing and it's always successful, so I just keep doing it. But then one day it isn't. Now I don't know what to do. Like, what do you call that? I don't know what to call that. But that's kind of what happened to Intel and Microsoft, or could have happened to Microsoft, right? I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. I'm not excusing it. I just, it's just troubling. I don't know.
Well, on that happy note,
yes,
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move us to our Windows segment, but I'm going to do that right after this brief message. Hi. This is Christopher Spera from iTechGear.org. I wanted to talk with you today about becoming a contributing donor to the site. iTechGear.org has been around for almost 15 years. In fact, our anniversary is just around the corner on January 10th, 2025. 15 years. Where has the time gone? I mean, I've never really asked for any kind of donations for the site. It's always been about me providing value to you, a site visitor or podcast listener. The iTechGear Weekly is now in its 4th year of production, and Chris G, Joel, and Dr. Mr. Larry McJunkin and I are having a really great time providing you with some of the best free tech talk available from time-tested original internet writers, testers, site founders, and professional writers and editors on the internet. I truly believe that our crew has some of the best and most qualified pundits and commentators on the internet today. And we're not hobbled by any kind of sponsorship or affiliated relationship or other time-bought posts. It all comes from the heart. Unfortunately, times are kind of tough. And since the COVID-19 pandemic of 2020 to 2023, yes, almost 3 full years, times have become increasingly difficult for small independent sites like iTechGear.org to stay afloat. I normally do this with a portion of the salary I make from the day job. But with the IT market so tight right now, it's really difficult sometimes for many to make normal household ends meet, let alone fund a site like iTechGear that might decide to bring in a buck or two. It ain't easy. If you find any of our content on iTechGear or from ITGW to be of any value at all, I would seriously appreciate you donating as little as just $1 to the cause. While we do have a Patreon site, it's hard to keep one website up, let alone 2. And since it's really only me doing the work, our Patreon site hasn't really helped us at all. If you can make a donation to the site or to the show of any amount, I'd be forever grateful. All donations will go to site maintenance, hosting, podcast hosting, and everything iTechGear related. Donations can be made to my PayPal account at chris@itechgear.org. Make a donation. We'll thank you immediately on the next ITGW episode and voice our gratitude. I want to thank you. We appreciate your consideration, time, and attention. Now let's get back to the latest iTechGear Weekly episode. And welcome back to the iTechGear Weekly, episode number 143, WUGNET-Fest-A-Palooza. And as I said before, I'm going to go ahead. I know. Take us into our Windows segment. I saw this and I'm like, no.
I know.
No. Palmer stepped on the iPhone at one point, and I thought, well, there's, Mazel Tov.
Yep.
That's it. But apparently Microsoft has patented a foldable phone with a Surface Kickstand, Larry?
Well, the article was about the kickstand, but
Yeah.
you know what? That's not where I was reading. I was reading and looking at the device on the kickstand
Yeah, see,
because to me, if it looks like a Duo and smells
Like
like
an
a
iPhone.
Duo, maybe it's a Duo. I
another
don't know.
shot at the Duo, but
Who knows? But a
Mm.
few months ago, Microsoft did file a patent for a foldable device that they titled the kickstand for an opening and folding computing device. And unlike their other patents, this one's kind of interesting because it shows off this phone that's a foldable phone sitting on the kickstand. So I don't know, is the idea of this thing to clearly allow the foldable phone to stand on the desk so you can, I don't know, connect your mouse or keyboard or this very much aligns with the Surface vision. However, does that Surface Vision still exist in Redmond? Maybe our guest will know more about that one because I don't think it still exists out there in the way that it used to. Paul, you think?
Yeah. I, Surface has a kind of a tortured history, obviously, but
Right.
if you were going to give them credit for anything, the built-in kickstand on the Surface, and that exists today
Right.
still in the Pro,
mhm.
is that thing when you see it, you're like, every device needs this. I don't understand why the
It just
iPad doesn't have
works.
this. Like, yeah, it just works.
Right.
And I'm trying to think. Usually these things are kind of done with cases, and I like one of the things I really like to see on a device sometimes is like when you get a kickstand, it can kind of work in both orientations, if that makes
Yes.
sense. So,
Right.
Yes.
and yeah, that's kind of rare still. But if Microsoft has anything to contribute to this part of the world, it might literally be this kind of kickstand mechanism, whatever. They're pretty good at that. I mean, I will give them credit for that. So I don't see Microsoft making another Duo phone.
No.
I mean, generally speaking,
Can I
when
cry
they went,
now? Can I cry
Hmm?
now?
What's that?
Can I cry
Right.
now?
Yeah, well,
Can I
yeah,
make another
this is the
Duo?
thing.
I mean,
This is a tough thing for Microsoft guys. Like,
mhm.
we all look back at the Courier tab, like, oh, they should have done that, or
Oh man.
I wish
the
to look at
Surface
our
Neo
Windows
and the
phones and go, wow, I
yeah, window.
wish.
Right.
Yep, yeah. It's still a tough topic, but if you in the context of like a Surface business where it's mostly PCs, you could make a case for Microsoft making Android devices. That there could
Mhm.
be a Surface Pro that's Android instead of Windows, maybe,
Mhm.
and has the
Right.
keyboard and the trackpad and all that stuff.
Mhm.
I mean, the pictures on this patent thing, these to me look like that iPhone that hasn't come out yet, right? The 17
It
Pro, whatever
does,
it's
yeah.
called,
It
whatever
does
the next
kind of,
version.
yeah.
Right.
But I don't see them. I don't see them making a phone. And they have a pretty good partnership with Samsung, by the way. And
Yeah.
But what
they're
could that device be that's sitting on the patented now stand?
yeah, I don't know.
I
Right.
don't
Well,
know.
it's clearly
Yeah.
a folding
Well,
phone. That's what it looks like.
look at it closer though. The stand part is on a set of rails, so it's all
Yeah.
built into the phone.
Yeah, it slides over. Yeah.
Yeah, this is not a case.
Yep.
This is
Right.
not a case
That's right.
for an
Right.
existing
Sorry.
phone.
I didn't mean to
It's
suggest it
more
was a
like
case.
the Surface. It's
Yeah.
Yep.
Correct.
Yep.
This is not a case for an
But then
existing
again,
phone.
I don't know. You look at like some of the images where, I mean, it could be a case, right? It could be done as a case. It could be
Sure.
a case for a Samsung, whatever the Galaxy
Fold 7,
Fold
yeah.
Z7, whatever it's called.
Yeah,
Yeah,
mhm.
where you have that case on the one side that, you prop it in front of you and you slide the thing over, it's in the middle or whatever. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of hard to
I
say.
don't know either. I mean, I saw this and I'm like, well, okay, this is all about the kickstand and it looks kind of cool. And I like the idea of
Mhm.
the kickstand on the back of Jesus. It's almost like I've got every Surface PC since
Yeah.
Surface came out, you
Sure.
know?
Yep.
It's not that I want to go ahead and advertise that because I mean, what the hell is wrong with me?
We all have our little ticks. It's
well, to Paul's point, the last two devices I've had Windows was a Surface Pro 8
Yep.
and a Microsoft laptop. And I'm,
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you what, they were both engineered hardware-wise perfectly, I thought.
Yeah, I have the
But
latest Surface
they always
laptop. It's
skimped
wonderful.
on technology.
Mhm.
They were always behind the game in
Yeah.
what they put in them.
That's right.
But they do well with hardware. So
Yep.
Oh no,
Whatever this is, it'll probably sell.
yeah, no, my wife's, best friend came over and said, "Oh, I need a new computer. Which one should I get?" I said, well, I pointed to
Surface.
the Surface
Right.
Laptop 7, and she said,
Yep.
"Fabulous." And the next morning she showed up and handed it to me. Set it
Oh,
up.
nice. Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
Nice
Go
wife.
ahead, go ahead, sister, make them sing, that
Right.
kind of thing. And it
Yeah.
was, so okay. And it is
I mean,
I spent 2-3 days with it. It's absolutely wonderful.
I mean, look, Microsoft's never going to be part of the phone business in a major way, no matter what they do, right?
Now I'm going to cry, Paul.
Me too.
But hold on a second. But maybe we're not thinking about this the right way, because there's no reason a good Android device, tablet, foldable, whatever, couldn't be a good, what I would call like a Microsoft 365 device, right? With all the apps, everything's there. The screens are great. Attach keyboard, mouse. It's a computer, right? They're building this. Samsung has it in DeX, but Google is putting it into Android proper now.
True.
And
Very true.
yeah, let someone else take the hardware risk, and just get your software on these things. I don't know.
When they make hardware, they're it's like I have a Surface Pro 6, and it happens to be the best Linux machine I've ever had.
Nice. Okay, that's
I
funny.
put Linux on it, so
That was the original intent. It was a secret kind of a backdoor Linux
Yeah.
thing.
But so I mean,
They're good computers. I do like them. Larry's right. I mean, they were behind the times for a long, long time. I mean, so these days they finally, they've kind of caught up in some ways, but yeah, the phone thing, I don't know. I think that ship has sailed.
I think you're right. I keep on hoping. I hold out. I've got it's a little guy in the way back in the cortical. It's got a match.
And we do
Holding up
this a
both
lot
hands,
on the show because we all love that Windows phone. I mean, it was just.
Well,
that was a hard one.
If you could envision that phone with today's hardware and technology, you go, wow, this would work.
Right.
But it's never going to happen.
Yeah, so I was nominated twice for Windows Mobile MVP. Back in the day, and but wow, it's how many extended ROMs do you have to create?
You said you bought almost every Surface computer, I think, or have. Yeah, I have probably owned almost every single Windows Phone model that's ever been made. Like I tried everything, and
Do you still have any?
Yeah, I kept a couple. So I have the original like Samsung developer device before they shipped anything.
Okay.
I have the Lumia 1020 with the camera adapter and all this. That thing was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
I think that might be all I have now.
Toward the end, I think that was my last one.
I know that our missing Mr. Chris Gavula has got that big yellow canary.
Yeah, the 1520.
The 1520.
I had a couple of those at one point, but yeah.
So and he swears by it. He says it's still a great camera. So
yeah, it's a little slow now. Obviously, it's all software based, the performance or whatever. But with the 1020, I just walked around the neighborhood one time. I took a picture of like a bee on a leaf, and it was like this. It's like this thing that could have been in a magazine, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is crazy!" Now, the thing wasn't moving around a lot. If it was, it would have been, blurry. But it was the crispest, clearest image of this thing. Beautiful.
Yeah. So let's all just a brief
moment of silence.
Moment of silence.
Yes.
For Windows Phone and whether or not this thing is actually going to come back around to us again in some way, shape, or form. But moving on, I was in preparation for this, and I know, Paul, you've got a lot to say about this next particular thing, but I want Joel to go ahead and give us the who's he what's on it. Pardon me for listening to your Windows Weekly podcast where you but Microsoft is currently investigating or is currently dealing with the Windows 11 SSD corruption / failure issue. Joel, we've got we're using an article from Windows Latest, not necessarily, Paul, because you pimp a guy too much. And
actually, we haven't written about this yet because at the time that we recorded Windows Weekly, Leo asked about it, and I said I don't remember how I answered it, but I was aware of it, but there wasn't a lot of information yet. So to me, it was I can't just write it. if it's just 3 people, like whatever. But it seems like as time goes on, it's getting bigger.
So Joe,
Yeah,
what's going on with this?
So apparently, if you install KB 5063878,
Yeah.
there's very isolated possibilities that your SSD might go tits up. So, yeah,
That's technical term there. Yeah.
Yep.
that's right. That's right. Yes. So, and in fact, it might not happen to the majority of people. So,
Yeah, hopefully not. Yeah.
It was interesting though, Paul. You were saying on that podcast on another competing network.
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah.
That this was a particularly interesting thing because it didn't. I mean, depending on the type, brand, shape, form, or what you were doing, it was a long file transfer or a big file transfer. Just caused the drive to disappear.
Yeah. Which honestly is, it's like when Teams goes down for the day. You're like, I guess I'm just taking today off. I don't know, like, so, yeah. So I listen. I see so many computer problems, like so many. I just today I had a computer, Intel Core Ultra, Series 2, whatever, Luna Lake thing just completely froze up. I have a laptop that the sound just stopped working, brand new, right? I'm literally in the middle of reviewing. I have another laptop actually before we came back from the most recent trip. One day it just stopped charging. And you go through all the troubleshooting steps you can do. And generally speaking, you can get those things back. But eventually it just powered down and that was it. It's never come back. A brand new computer. So
do you love it when the plan comes together? I mean,
if you're looking for a lifetime of frustration, this is a great industry to be part of.
Right.
Is really the sad truth, right? I mean, it's nothing ever works correctly, really. So anyway, I look at this and I think to myself, like, this is unfortunately pretty par for the course for kind of the quality coming out of the Windows group these days. So there's not, I just don't feel like we have that kind of industrial, well, no, that's not the right word, just broad reaching, test scenarios happening before our software goes out. You could follow this back. The article you linked to said this was like a follow-up to a previous update, whatever that means, which itself was probably a follow-up to a previous update. Like we're always just like fixing problems now, and I maybe we I'm sure we will get on top of this, but this kind of thing, this to me is, I just look at this and I think, this is the way our world is right now. This is what happens, this type of thing. This seems very typical.
What really blows my mind, and I'm gonna, Larry, hand me the box. Can I have the box? I need the box. Thank you.
The box?
The soapbox.
Ah, yes.
I'm gonna stand up on it now because I'm a software quality leader by trade. All right.
I see.
And stuff like this.
And you follow Microsoft, huh? That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. How does that work?
Makes me not well.
Yeah.
Not well. It makes me absolutely positively just nuts that and that things like this happen. I don't want to say on a regular basis, but fairly regularly, every now and again.
But it is pretty regular, isn't it? Right?
Every Tuesday, every
it's more than every so often.
First Tuesday of every month.
Right.
You kind of have where you have these kinds of issues and problems, and I wonder, all right, where is the guy that's responsible for the software quality, or are they getting one every first Tuesday, a new one every first Tuesday of every month that's supposed to fix the problems that the last guy left?
I think I can solve the problem for you because it's amusing that you think that person exists. So back, Larry, you got everyone here, right? We remember, back in the day when Windows was the going concern, when it was the center of everything Microsoft did, that person did exist, right? And there was a system where, before we had the system we have now, where software would ship and the OS maintenance and, internally at Microsoft would turn to this other team. And these were the guys that would do like the service packs and those kind of things. And then the main OS team would go and start working on the next version. And now it's just, Microsoft calls it continuous innovation, which is just the most wonderful nonsense term of all time. But They're just like updating it all the time. And the broader company just doesn't care because their focus is over here. It's on cloud computing, it's on AI. It's not on this thing. And so, the best and the brightest are not in Windows anymore. Not to denigrate anyone who's there. I'm sure in some ways it must be terrible to see, especially if you've been around a while, to see what's happened there. But I just don't think there are exceptions to this, but I just don't feel like they're doing the kind of deep engineering work.
They're not doing the deep engineering work, and they're also, at least in my opinion, I don't see them doing the deep level of testing.
No. We're testing it. This is how bad it's gotten. When Windows 10 was announced, right? So it's the very end of September 2014, I think. One of the things they announced at that time was the Windows Insider program.
Yep.
And the Windows Insider program was a way that people could go sign up, and then they could test new features, give Microsoft feedback. And for a little while, there was a pretty good feedback loop going there. And eventually they changed it. There were multiple rings. Now we have multiple channels. One of them, nobody even knows what it's for anymore, and whatever. And that's fine. At least, this Larry mentioned, CompuServe up at the top of the show. Just to bring that back real quick, I will say one of the first drops in quality I ever noticed at Microsoft was when they switched from CompuServe to Usenet newsgroups for this kind of stuff. And one of the things, and he mentioned the cost of it because CompuServe was expensive, which meant that when you got into CompuServe and you went into these forums and you talked with people, there was no baloney. You weren't there to screw around. You weren't there to talk crap. You have a problem or you can solve a problem. You were in and you were out, and that was it. And it was good. It was high quality. Twitter. Yep. And that it's been downhill ever since, right? Now it got free, which is good on some level, but so by the time the Insider program comes around, it's an opt-in thing. You have to, you're going to enroll a PC in this thing. A lot of people aren't going to do this, but enthusiasts will. They have multiple computers, they'll do it. But now there's a switch in Windows Update. My wife, my mother, my brother, the normal kind of mainstream people could just be testing software for Microsoft for free now for some reason. Why would anyone do this? But this is like their solution to the problem we're kind of describing here is, well, we put this thing out 2 weeks ahead of the main release, and some number of millions of people click the box and they're getting these updates, and we're getting feedback, and that's good for telemetry and whatever. And there was plenty of evidence that shows this is not working.
Correct. And this is one of the reasons why it drives me absolutely bananas. And Larry and Joel and Chris have heard me say this over and over and over again. I'm sitting here. I'm working currently, but thank you, COVID-19 and all the technology updates that have come into software testing, for the last 5 years, maybe not so much with the work. And I'm like, Bill, pick me, pick me. I will come in and I will run your software quality group, and I will go ahead and figure out, by hook or by crook, to figure out a way of get this happening. No, I understand exactly.
Including the next story?
Say again, over?
Is it including the next story, which is another KB fiasco?
Kind of, sort of. But yeah, I mean, honest to goodness, what the heck?
Yeah.
I've said this over and over and over. Microsoft Windows is on 90+% of the computers that run the world.
Right.
All right.
I know.
WTF?
I don't know. I guess this is like one of those, are you a glass half full or half empty kind of person, right? So you're in a subway.
If you're a software quality guy, you have to question.
You're always like, your glass is empty, it's cracked.
But you're half full or half empty.
Well, you see like a blue screen up on a screen in a subway or a doctor's office or something, and you're either like, oh, see, typical Windows, or you're like, well, see, Windows is everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know how you view those things, but. Yeah. For me, this is, Microsoft is like, oh, we're going to talk to our computers. I'm like, I already talked to my computers. I'm down here all day long going, what the fuck? Like screaming at the thing. My wife thinks I have like a mental condition. I'm surprised she hasn't had me committed, but that's our life.
It's sort of, and this is the one you probably bumped into this problem, on one of the.
This one, I was going to say the second one. I have, yes,
because especially on that one particular PC that you were just talking about, where Microsoft admits that it broke reset this PC in Windows 10.
Oh no, I did run into this. Yep.
And now that there's a fix for a fix that's out again to fix this one. right?
Yes. So, right. So, if you guys all probably do this, but, reset this PC, you can do it from within Windows. You can boot into the recovery environment. You can do it from there. You can boot with a, setup disk or a repair disk, and you can run it from there, etc. I had a computer that refused to reset no matter how I did it,
Yeah.
and at some point you're like, okay, so, I guess I'm just doing a like pave it from space kind of a thing. Like what, and then look, Windows, whatever, but you don't want to lose certain things you might be getting from the PC maker. I don't mean like crapware, but whatever little drivers or apps they might have. But those things tend to come back now, that you get them from the store or whatever. So I did actually get this thing working, but it was not, I never got reset this PC to work on that particular computer. Never, no matter how many, I tried so many different ways.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Just to go ahead and just bring it back around. Recently, Microsoft had warned a number of different users that were using Windows 11, 23H2, 22H2, and Windows 10 users against using that. They told you don't do this. Right? Don't use the built-in recovery environment.
Right.
If you have a problem, because it won't work.
Yeah.
After a recent update from just this month, this past patch Tuesday, KB 5063875 for Windows 11 23H2 and 5063709 for Windows 10. If you went ahead and tried to update after installing any of those updates, it would not work. So you're sitting there left holding the bag, as it were.
So would Edge work so I could go to apple.com and buy a real computer, or how does this, what was the fix? What was
it's exactly, yes. No, I mean, at that point you start, where are those hex drivers that I've got to go ahead and pull the thing out?
I feel so old sometimes. It's like, am I the only person that just wants to turn the thing on, have it actually come on, and then get work done and then be done for the day?
It's a little old-fashioned of you, Paul.
I know. I'm sorry. It's a fantasy of mine, but it's crazy.
So at least now they appear to have this thing resolved, and you should be able to use your Windows recovery environment to get you back up and running.
Right.
So, I mean, if you were running the latest version of Windows 11 24H2, you weren't going to bump into this problem. But if you were using 23 or 22 H2, then you were probably going to bump into it.
That's why I ran into it, because I had it was a computer from last year, but awesome, like AMD, really nice computer. I had a nephew going off to college, and it's like, do you have a computer for this kid? I'm like, yeah, I absolutely do. And then they spent 5 days trying to get this thing reset.
Trying to get it to,
I'm like, okay, so I guess I'm going to just do a clean install in there. But I spent so much
kind
time
of an odd story, but a good place to put it in. I was about a month ago. I went to my dentist, like we all eventually have to do for something, and I'm looking over at a monitor sitting on a medical stand up in the air, and scrolling across that was an XP logo. Scrolling XP. And I looked at him. I said, I'm not sure I want you to work on my teeth or not. But he said, he said, why? I said, I pointed over at that. He said, I keep that there to remind me of when my computers used to work.
That's awesome. I like that he was actually kind of informed about it.
A dentist of all people.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
Well, so for for a lot of people, a computer's a tool, and why would you do anything to it if it works? Right. You don't just you don't jump out of a
But I mean, all the average user today wants is to check his email, his browser. He doesn't want to wake up and see something like, oh, Windows did an update, and by the way, I'm not working for you today.
Exactly. You don't. Right. That's why continuous innovation is such a ludicrous term to me.
It's a beautiful thing. Continuous incineration.
Yeah, there you go. Yes.
There you go.
Basically. So, well, all right. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move us out of our Windows segment and into our tip of the week segment. Before we actually get to the actual tip, I want to remind everyone that, iTechGear was founded with the intent of making technology easy for everyone to use and understand. And this particular team, including our JCGH, our Johnny Carson guest host,
I was like,
he's written more stuff by himself than we have put together.
Yeah, but I have a problem. It's not. That's not.
Has dedicated their writing careers to this specific purpose. And every week, like WUGNET, we are going to have iTechGear is going to have a featured tip on computing, authored by one of our experienced editors. If you've got questions, concerns, comments, or ideas, do me a favor and send us a note over to tips@itechgear.org, and we will go ahead and get your 15 seconds worth of fame. And would love to have you join the august group of authors of Weekly Tips.
Might be a September group by this point, you know.
Yes. So Larry is graciously and kindly going to give me a week off from pulling together a tip and his got a
for the first time since the 1990s when you
something
started.
Like that. Yes.
Yeah, nice. Nice.
So Larry, what is our tip for this week, and how does it actually work?
I'm going to talk a little bit about screen sharing on a Mac. We all know how easy it is to do this with, Quick Assist and whatever. But I mean, I deal with, Paul, I'm obviously retired now. I live in a pretty large retirement community, but it's about a 10,000 person place called Tellico Village. It's outside of Knoxville. And I have, for things to do, I volunteer a lot, and it's fun. And I recently handed over the keys to someone else. Finally, I found someone dumb enough to take it. I was presiding over the local computer club here, which is one of the largest computer clubs in the United States, for about 1,300 people.
Wow.
And we have a first level support system where, a lot of there's a few geeks around, and we have about 10 or 15 mostly Windows people. I'm the only person that gets to do this for Macs. But then again, Macs have a few problems compared to Windows. They really do. And with, especially during the pandemic, we used to do, those 10 15 people would go out and do house calls. People call in. I mean, they're only paying $20 a year for this computer club, but they would call in and say, hey, my network's not working, my printer's not talking, whatever, my screen's black. So one of the guys would go out and look at it and usually fix it. And our reputation got bigger and better, and more people started joining. So that's why all the people, I guess. But then the pandemic hit. So then we were kind of out of a job because nobody was going to go out and talk to somebody during the front end of that pandemic. We were all afraid to move. And so we were doing like 200 calls a month. So we invested in then TeamViewer and a couple of other things to help us, do this. But it became apparent to me that we should keep doing this. So I fostered this effort to, hey, instead of us going out wasting our time, we can do a screen, we can do a screen share with the customer if we can do it easily with them. And because the demographic we serve is typically old. It's the only way I can say it. And they're the kind of person who does nothing but just email and whatever. So it was kind of hard to get them to fire up TeamViewer, install it, and do all the privacy things, especially on a Mac that you had to do to let it work. But where I'm going with this is, in the old days, screen sharing on a Mac wasn't easy. It's always been there. It was first introduced in, I don't know, maybe Leopard 2001, I don't know. But then in 2021, Apple introduced a version of it that was tied to FaceTime. So with that, it became more and more popular. And I used to think those commercial apps like TeamViewer were really good. But you know what? This latest version, I don't know when it happened because I quit using the damn thing, but I quit using Apple Screen Share, but I now use it again. And I mean, like crazy, like 3 or 4 times a week. The newest version of the Screen Share app, you'll find it in the Utilities folder, in the Applications folder on your Mac. This thing is awesome. I mean, I can't tell you how good it is. If you're working from an M1 Mac, from an M series Mac with another M series Mac, and let's face it, there's very few Intel Macs laying around anymore. If you're working between 2 M series Macs, this is a 4K screen sharing solution that is fast as your internet. It's just, there is no latency at all, zero. And I mean, it has an extremely small learning curve. So your Uncle Bill or even your grandma, if you're that guy in the family and you do all the family tech support, your Uncle Bill or your grandma or something, they can set it up in like minutes, and it gives the person whose computer you're controlling a way to instantly just pull the plug on it and stop the session if you want, if you start snooping around for the password to their retirement account or something with this. So it's very secure. Uh, and again, I hadn't tried this for years, and I went back to it a few weeks ago, and I'm kicking myself for not doing it a little bit sooner because it's just awesome. There's really nothing to it to set it up. The easiest way I can tell folks, just get on the internet and search for Apple screen sharing app, Apple support. First thing that'll pop up is their article on how to do it. It's so easy. It's a one-page article. Anybody can do it. Fantastic way to help people out if they're using a Mac. That's it.
Quick and easy. It's the way I kind of like it.
Easy.
Absolutely. So I'm going to move us to our pick of the week segment. And again, before we get there, I want to remind everybody that our show picks are typically software, hardware, and other items of interest that we have individually purchased and that we actually use and that we like enough that we want to recommend them to you, our growing listener base. These are not paid advertisements or items that we have any kind of affiliated marketing relationship with. If they were, the editorial policy over at iTechGear.org would tell us, hey, we've got to let you guys know about that up front. These are just sincerely things that we believe in, and we want to share with you at the end of each show each week. Why?
Because we like you.
Oh, we're close.
Shades of Mickey Mouse there,
All right, and Joel has got the pick for us this week. And Joel, what have you got for us this week?
All right. Well, as Paul doesn't know, but as both Larry and Chris know, I'm an avid hiker, having completed 2 20-mile Mammoth March events this year, and competing in my third one in 28 days. So the one thing I don't have
talk about it.
Yeah, geez.
Yeah.
I walked 20 steps today. Does that count?
No.
No, unfortunately, no.
I see.
But, so one thing that when I'm doing these events, I'm preoccupied with like making the distance, right, and hiking. So I didn't have a way of taking pictures or video while I'm on the go. So I have a GoPro Hero 13, and I bought the My Premium backpack strap clip mount for GoPro Hero. I say GoPro Hero because this will work on any of them. So, and what this is a clip that has a standard GoPro mount in the bottom of it, and basically that's it. It just clips onto the strap of your backpack, and no fuss, no muss. And I tested it this weekend. I'm pretty satisfied with it because the Hero 13 has amazing stability. You didn't even notice that the fact the camera was actually moving when I was walking. So this is little thing, $11.99, and I like it so far. So
just be good even in a city. If you were walking around just doing a kind of a walking video or whatever.
Absolutely.
Yep. And I even have if you look in the pictures in the show notes, I have a picture of me wearing it using the Volta handle, so it works with that too. Although I think for the event, I'm gonna try and make my camera look as much like it does in the picture in the Amazon link, so it's kind of a little bit smaller and waterproof because I had it in the media mod, which basically makes the GoPro not waterproof. So, but for $12,
yeah. Which GoPro do you use with this, or do you just use
the Hero 13 Black? But anything since the GoPro Hero 3 should work with this. So.
Right. 3 plus 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
Anything with a standard GoPro mount, it'd probably even work with cameras that have that mount because there are many that do. So that like cheap
Pretty
Chinese
common.
ones. Yeah, it's it's not a difficult mount to get working. Yeah,
So if you
GoPro
look
hasn't really
at
copyrighted it.
if you look at you click on the Amazon link for this that we're shooting in there. There's even a guy that's got it mounted on his hat,
I love
backwards on his hat. So
Yeah, it would work. It would work.
it.
So you're bebopping back and forth, and
Yep.
gotta you look like me, and you gotta have a hat, otherwise
They must have
the glare blinds everybody, and they
the
can't
thing
hide.
you like slap down in your car for a phone, like
I mean,
put it over your head or whatever.
Yeah.
I have a whole bunch of accessories because I had the Hero 4 back in the day, so I have a whole bunch of experience or accessories, cheap Chinese accessories, not ones from GoPro that cost much more money. But I like this better. Yeah, because I have the chest mount. I have one that goes on your head, which I'm like, yeah, no. This is a little bit more comfortable.
The hat mount is good. I like that.
Yeah,
That's funny.
Hat mount. All right. Well, that seems to be it. And that, kids, is the show. This has been the iTechGear Weekly, episode number 143, the WUGNET-Fest-A-Palooza, recorded live Sunday, August 17th, 2025, live from iTechGear Central. As I said, for myself, the missing Mr. Chris Gavula, Joe McLaughlin, Dr. Mr. Larry McJunkin, and of course, our wonderful JCGH, Johnny Carson style guest host, Mr. Paul Perrott. So we'll see you guys next time.
I'm the Joan Rivers of the of the podcast.